Hi, my name is Dina Mattar. Welcome to DCODED by DVerse. Today we have Sylvan Martin from Scrypt. He's the co-founder and COO. Hello, Sylvan.
Hi, Dina. Pleasure to be here.
Good to have you. So, first I want you to explain to people in very simple terms, what is Scrypt? What do you guys do?
You jump right into it.
I did. We could go into you first. What got you into crypto?
What got me into crypto is I was studying music at the time in 2017.
Where?
In Zurich, Switzerland. I was studying jazz, actually. And
Jazz?
yeah, I studied jazz in Switzerland, yes. And I was looking at the music industry specifically around how royalties get distributed. Payments from radio streamings or Spotify.
Right.
And this got my interest about smart contracts and how you can do real-time payments. And that was my start into looking into Ethereum, the blockchain, how crypto works. And at some point I decided to jump into the rabbit hole and dig deeper.
Yeah, everyone does that at some point. So your background was initially in music then?
My background was initially music, correct. Before that I was finishing my school, so.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So from music you got into smart contracts because of the royalties?
Well, I was specifically interested in how they work and the mechanism behind and how blockchain could solve that problem, as well as the issue that a lot of big bands back in the day had fallouts further down the line. And with smart contracts, you could somewhat govern that or automate this. And that really led me into crypto and decided to dig deep and understand what's going on. And
okay, cool. So how did you then go from that to Scrypt? Like you and Norman, you guys co-founded Scrypt.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's good. It's a curious one too.
Yeah, the story is a bit longer. I mean, we eventually got introduced to each other in later 2018 while I was working in London, bringing people together from the network in crypto to educate them about Bitcoin, educate them about investing into crypto, what is crypto, and Norman and myself had the same vision about institutionalizing the space. So
and what does that mean, like institutionalizing the space? Like,
I think when it all started, or when I jumped into this in 17, 18, it was still very much retail driven. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the events or a lot of traders, a lot of communities were retail focused, which still are communities, which are also important. And then the bigger use case or why people started to buy into Bitcoin and the technology really started to evolve in 2019, 2020. And we saw that a lot of large corporations, companies started to have an interest in this. And we realized that there is a big knowledge gap between how to use it and how to access it. And the asset class itself of, okay, I want to have exposure. So that got us into the, let's say, institutional space of, okay, we see we have a knowledge which nobody else has or it's hard to obtain, and build it around services and an offering for companies to access crypto, yeah.
So who would really benefit from Scrypt? Like what services would you offer someone like, let's say, Algorand or some bigger chains?
I mean, this is we differentiate between two different kinds of institutions, more the crypto natives, which would Algorand fall into. Mm-hmm. So they, of course, understand the ecosystem. They have their own ecosystem and develop on top of it or have a lot of projects coming to it. Mm-hmm. And there it's more about what we can do to help them maintain or grow in their ecosystem. Is also to support projects on their chain or their protocol, to get more market traction, get more access, get more bigger community behind. Right. So that's what we want to empower there. And the other section would be a traditional institution who's tapping into crypto or digital assets and doesn't have that ecosystem play, so they want to have the exposure. And mainly there, the conversation is around how to get exposure to Bitcoin initially or Ethereum, the larger coins, and then further down the line, they're getting more exotic.
That's cool. So can you give me an example of companies that you work with that offer this? Is that?
Yeah, sure.
I was like, I don't know if that's too much personal. Go ahead.
I don't need to name any names, but we work with banks from traditional side, which are like super advanced in their corporate strategy from a traditional perspective, and then it goes all the way through normal private companies to financial institutions or intermediaries like other desks, other trading desks, and then to crypto natives, as we spoke before, like maybe a hedge fund who is only focusing on crypto, or an Algorand or a foundation who needs an access point to manage their treasury, liquidate some of their assets to pay salaries otherwise.
So you guys are now based in Switzerland. So would you guys ever think of like moving to Dubai?
We got that question a lot. I mean, we are following, let's say, globally the regulation space. I think that's one of the key points for us of where we need to or want to expand.
Like with regulations, it's pretty critical in the industry, especially considering what you guys do.
Yeah, also considering what recently happened with all
we'll talk about that
with all the other fallouts. But I think we have a regulatory and compliance approach first in the sense of when we started, we wanted to do things by the book, and we knew that at some point regulation will be more harder, difficult to obtain, and that they likely will also look backwards of what other people have done, and maybe, like ask for documentation which some companies might not have. So we started out with, okay, we need to be regulated first, and then we started the service offering. So I think that also defines of which jurisdiction we should branch out to or set up. And Dubai, of course, with the recent push from the different regulatory supervisions, the MCC, VARA, others who are coming up are quite interesting. So,
do you think Dubai then would be in your pipeline?
Dubai is definitely something we're thinking about and planning around, yeah.
Tell them. Tell them. Dubai is in the future. That's the plan. So what could you do with the banks here? Like, do you think that you'd be able to offer them that kind of support?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Yeah.
I think,
but we can. So that is in your pipeline. That's something that you guys would be looking to do.
Yeah, I mean,
GCC obviously is a booming market. UAE, Saudi.
I think the key need, what we see, is that it needs a lot of education on how to structure it, how to regulate it, how to supervise these kind of new asset class.
So what do you think is their biggest obstacle, other than obviously that the not knowing? What do you think would be their biggest obstacle?
I think right now is to provide clarity on if you have a license on what you can do, what are the supervision elements that banks are more comfortable to bank projects, and really that you can grow and scale up your service offering.
Okay. So tell us, we're going into what's been happening the last few weeks. In Scrypt's opinion, or in Scrypt's perspective, what happened to FTX?
Oh, that's a big question. I mean, there was a lot of news and information floating around in online, Twitter, and all this media.
But from a technical perspective,
difficult.
Someone who probably knows a little bit more about what happened, can you tell us?
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't been there, but
you know,
it looks like that there was some sort of usage of client funds to benefit his own pocket or the other company, and I think it might not be the smartest move to have a market maker and an exchange more or less in the same office. And then you have not really a competitive landscape on your exchange. It's just one market maker which outperforms everything and front runs client trades, and that should not happen. So in my opinion, it's definitely something which is a failure on management and risk management governance, not necessarily the crypto industry itself.
Right.
And then it's just sad to see that somebody who had everything basically and everybody admired in the space.
What do you think? Say he was probably at that one point he was the most powerful man in crypto?
Well, the most powerful man, not necessarily, but he was definitely the one who had the most influence over the US regulation and how they should push out policies.
Do you think this is now gonna cause like a strain and a delay in, like, obviously the mass adoption movement of it all? Do you think that that's gonna? It was a big deal. It's a centralized exchange. There were so many things like attached to it in terms of his reputation, and everyone really believed like, okay, these are the steps we're gonna be taking. So do you think it's gonna now like really restrict it? Because obviously people are gonna start questioning all of the other major exchanges.
Yeah, that of course is happening, and we already see that that's happening. We also saw that it's super sad that a lot of retail people have lost so much money because they just used the product. The product itself was good, but in the end it failed on the people side, I would say.
Yeah.
And it for sure delayed certain adoption.
Yeah, preventing a lot of.
Yeah, and I think from the regulatory side, I think we'll see quite of a change in the next 6 to 12 months, specifically in the US, because they went in a certain direction and now something terrible happened, and likely they're going to react to it with stronger regulation, which will have an impact across the globe.
Right. So as Scrypt then, do you guys have any, how can I say this? Do you have advice for people to avoid such errors? Let's say it wasn't really him, or if something like that were to happen in a different way. Like, what would be your advice to like people who are entering the market? Like so basically to avoid being in that situation, because we've seen like a lot of some of the biggest losses in wallets in like personal investors, like retail investors, with a few $100 million that's lost with FTX. So what would be your advice? Because obviously they thought that was safe, being in a centralized exchange. What would be your advice to people who have that amount of money or who have significant funds that they do want to keep somewhere secure? And they obviously, they probably want to play around with it in an exchange. But what would be your like advice, or what would you recommend for them to avoid that kind of risk?
I would not have always 100% of your portfolio exposed to a centralized party. So I would suggest having a custodian set up or having your own private wallet set up where you hold most of your coins, specifically the ones you believe in the long run or you want to, let's say, hodl, as we like to say in the industry. And there I would say at least these assets move back, and if you want to trade, then transfer it back to your account at the exchange. And then you can also say, well, which exchange you want to trade on.
But some people would put like all their money in like something like Binance, for example. Some people would. I might have done that once.
Yeah, probably still people doing that.
Yeah, because it's a trusted like exchange, but at some point also FTX was. This is a whole like other story. It's fine. We'll get into it another time. But for now, with Scrypt, are you guys planning to get into like, build other companies or build other projects?
Well, right now we focus on our core, which is the two verticals we have. One is prime brokerage and the other one is asset management. And these are let's say, the two things we want to push, of course, now and next year. And now is a difficult time, but also a good time to show the industry that, okay, they are trusted parties, they are counterparties which know what they're doing, which are not exposed to any of these exchanges which have governance and risk management in place, which I think is more and more important now.
That's really cool. So would retail investors ever benefit from Scrypt?
We're purely focused on institutionals.
Wow, take my money, huh? Okay, well, would you have any last words or any suggestions or for people maybe globally, like who could reach out to Scrypt? How can they reach you? How can you help them?
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, we have a website where you can sign up to a newsletter where you can sign up to book a call with one of our team members to get to know us, to get to know our service offering more in detail. Any institutions around the globe who wants to have a trusted access point to crypto, to digital asset, happy to talk to.
So you'd be doing just their asset management
For
the one part.
That's the one part which we're launching next year. So the initial, or what is live, is the prime brokerage where we give access in terms of trading, so execution. We have the custody element to that, and we have Scrypt Earn, which is live at the moment, more on the staking side.
Okay, why don't we talk about that a little bit?
About the staking?
No, but like the prime brokerage and then also the Scrypt Earn.
Yeah, okay.
So tell us about it. Tell me about it. Teach me.
Teach you.
Teach me.
Well, we started the company with OTC trading.
Licensed and registered OTC trading.
Yeah, as I said, of course, when we were regulated, went to market, and our first offering is OTC trading, spot access. So we allow customers to buy and sell crypto with fiat currencies or crypto to crypto, and that was a driver for the auxiliary services which we have now. We built a team around it. So out of this, we of course need to keep the assets when they are with us. So that's why we do a custody offering, or we can do additional custody offering. And in the end, we want to have a holistic platform where it creates more stickiness for customers to keep their assets in terms of or to earn additional yield on their assets. That's why we implement the staking part. And we also saw that in the industry, a lot of specifically with Ethereum changing to proof of stake, that was a big push for everybody launching staking. A lot of staking as a service providers popped up, were pushing forward. So we like that kind of development and see that there are serious players to try to build a secure offering and secure service for staking.
Amazing, cool. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Sylvan. It was great to meet you.
Thank you, Dina. It was good talking to you.
Speaking with you. Thank you.